Last month, I got an email that reassured me that all is going to be well with the world. That life is still beautiful. That love and joy and blessing are real and are with us now. In fact, this email so lit up my soul. This email so lit up my heart that I have memorized when I got it. August 25th at 4:56 exactly. This email attached a photograph of two women who are longtime members of Temple Emmanuel. The younger one is only 103 years old. The older one is 104 years old. They have known each other since they were 12 years old. And if you do the math, that's a good, long, rich friendship. And on that day, they were having lunch with their adult daughters. And the photograph shows the four of them having lunch with a smile ear to ear. Both women read the paper every day. Both women exercise every day. Both women talk to their children and grandchildren and great-grandchildren and friends every day. And both women are just totally up and current on what is happening in the world. And when I beheld this photograph of a 103 and 104-year-old woman still with their daughters and still having lunch and still living, it felt positively biblical, because it is positively biblical. It evokes Moses, who lived till the age of 120. And when Moses dies at the age of 120, the Torah goes out of its way to say that his vision was undimmed and his vigor was unabated. Moses lived richly until the end at 120. No long, hard slog for Moses. Now, I had always thought that only Moses gets the Moses package. And maybe, a few select individuals, like our 103 and 104-year-old friends, get the Moses package. But I had always thought that most of us don't get the Moses package. Most of us are not candidates for that kind of mazel. And then I read a book by a doctor named Peter Attia called Outlive, the Science and Art of Longevity. Outlive, the Science and Art of Longevity. And he makes the case that all of us are candidates for the Moses package. In that all of us have far more control over the quantity and the quality of our years, far more control over the quantity and quality of our days than we would have ever thought. Now, I know, you know, we know the word lifespan. Lifespan is the number of years we get to live on this beautiful place called planet Earth. But Peter Attia taught me a word I had never heard before: healthspan. Healthspan is the quality of our health during the quantity of our years. The quality of our health, the healthspan, it includes physically, cognitively, spiritually, emotionally, and relationally. And here's the main point of his book. If you want a good, long lifespan, And if you want a good, long health span, you want 100 years of life and 100 years of health. You're not interested in 100 years of life and 85 years of health and a long, sad slog for 15 years. That's not of interest. You want the Moses package. If you want a lifespan that is commensurate to your health span, there's stuff we can do now. So here's the main point. I just want to make this so loud and clear and repeatedly and explicitly. This is not a sermon for old people. This is not a sermon for older people. This is a sermon for all of us at all ages and stages of our lives, because Peter Attia argues and shows pretty persuasively that the practices that we have in our 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s shape our lives, quantity and quality, in our 70s and 80s and 90s and beyond. Current practice shapes our future trajectory. And that makes this a profoundly and decidedly Jewish issue. In fact, this makes this a double mitzvah. Because in Devarim, at the end of the book of Devarim, Moses, speaking for God, says, Uvacharta b'chaim, choose life. And now it's a double mitzvah, choose life, lifespan, the quantity of our years. And choose life, health span, the quality of our years. Now, of course, I know, and you know, and we know there are no guarantees. We all know that terrible things, bad things happen to good people all the time. That's why Unatana Tokef is so haunting, because it is so scary, because it is so true. We all know good people who made the right choices and did not get the Moses package. That's obvious and clear. But while it's true that nobody has total control, we do have some control. And the some control that we do have, we should exercise for our own health and life and for those who love us. So, how did Moses get to 120 lifespan and health span? And the answer is he had a secret sauce. Moses' secret sauce was 3 P's. And his 3 P's are our work now. Moses' first P was purpose. Every morning Moses woke up, he had an urgent purpose for his life. And the question is, do we? When we wake up, do we have a purpose for our lives? A few years ago, a fantastic rabbi in Encino, California, Valley Beth Shalom, Rabbi Ed Feinstein, he gave a sermon in which he argued that most of us are unprepared for the last third of our lives. Most of us are unprepared for the last third of our lives. Rabbi Feinstein argues that most of us are type A personalities. We work hard in high school to get into a good college. And we work hard in college to get into a good graduate program or a good first job. And we work hard at our job to be successful, to be a good provider. And we work hard throughout our adulthood to make sure that our children should have every opportunity. And then one day, our working days are behind us, and we ask the question, what's next? And so many of us, Rabbi Feinstein argues, have no idea. And because of longevity, that could mean that we have no idea what we're going to do with the last third of our lives. Now, at first, it's fabulous. We get the first week we love, the first month we love. But at a certain point, we start to wonder, what is the meaning of this chapter of my life? We start to wonder, why am I here? Too much time is a challenge. When we wake up and we have too much time, it's a challenge. What is the purpose that's going to get us up every morning, like Moses had? Now, there's a doctor in Atlanta named Sharon Berquist, and she wrote a book that is a sermon in and of itself. Just the title is a sermon. The title of her book is Why We Need The Stress Paradox. The Stress Paradox, why we need stress to live longer, healthier, and happier lives. The Stress Paradox, why we need stress to live longer, healthier, and happier lives. And Dr. Berquist argues that there is such a thing as good stress. In fact, she's known as the good stress doctor. Good stress is you have a moment to meet. Good stress is you're the athlete who has to train and prepare and compete, and then you hit a homer on that day. Good stress is the student who has to study hard for an exam and then does well on the exam. Good stress is our teen who works hard on their bar bat mitzvah and then shines on the day of. And Dr. Berquist, the good stress doctor, says there's something about that whole process. You have a moment, you have edge, you have anxiety, you got to prepare, you lose some sleep, you wake up, you work hard, you're pumped, you're jazzed, and you take it seriously, and like a lot depends on it, and then you meet the moment, and then you exhale. And then you have an afterglow. And Dr. Berquist says that whole process of meeting the moment is good for life and health and vitality. And by contrast, if you have a reality where nothing is asked of you, where nobody needs you, where there's no deliverables, where nobody actually knows or cares what you do with your whole day, that is called a terrific vacation. But it's not a long-term strategy for life and health and thriving. So our first P is what purpose is going to get you up in the morning, and what good stress is going to bring out our best. Here's the second P. The second P is people. Moses always is with people. Now, I've been with a lot of people who have a hard last chapter. And if there is one common lament that I have heard from people who have a last hard chapter, it's loneliness. They just spend a lot of time in the recliner, watching TV really loudly, really loud TV, really loud, and nobody's there. Lonely. Which means that Barbra Streisand was wrong with her song. Barbra Streisand was totally wrong with her song. It's not people who need people are the luckiest people in the world. It's people who have people are the luckiest people in the world. It's people who have people that are the luckiest people in the world, which raises the obvious question, as the years and decades go by, where do we get our people? Now, it will come as no vast shock to you that I think a pretty good place to get your people is, you're never going to guess. Okay, I'll ruin the suspense. Temple Emmanuel. Temple Emmanuel is the best place to have people. Because if you're at Temple Emmanuel, you will have people who will walk with you through the years. They'll walk with you in the good times, and they'll walk with you in the bad times, and they'll walk with you in all of the ordinary times of life. There's a woman this past year who had a very tough year. In a very short period, she lost a number of the people she loved most in this world. And every Shabbos, she'd come to shul, and she would sit in her accustomed place in the Rabbi Samuel Chill sanctuary. And every Shabbos, she was drawn there by the people. She sat with the same people to her right, and the same people to her left, and the same people in the pew ahead of her, and the same people in the pew behind her. Every week they went to shul, and then she came right in here, the Adelson Community Hall for Kiddush, and she sat with the same people. And she told me the story that on one particular Shabbos in late August, she was just feeling the weight of her losses. And after Adon Olam and after the service, she came in here, and she was talking, and she just needed a jolt of some extra oomph and energy. She was carrying a lot. So she goes over there to the coffee urn to get a cup of coffee. And there she happens to see a young couple who comes to shul every Shabbos. And they sit in the same basic area. Now this couple is at a different age and a different stage, and the only thing they have in common is they're members of Temple Emmanuel and they come on Shabbos morning. And this couple sees this woman who's obviously having a hard day. And they say to her, listen, we know this is not a lot of notice. In fact, we know this is no notice, but we're actually getting married tomorrow. And we would love it if you would come to our wedding. And without skipping a beat, and without standing on ceremony, she says, of course, I would be delighted to come. So the wedding is far, far away in Massachusetts on the other side of the state. And she drives and drives and drives, and she drives and gets lost. And she finds her way eventually, and she gets there in time for the chuppah. And she's at the chuppah, and she dances with the bride and groom, and she's so happy for the bride and groom, and she's so happy that she was included, and she said the whole thing made her feel so full. And she calls this place the house of love. Now, if this place is where you get your people, fantastic. But if this place is not for you, if you're not a shul person, it's not your thing, like a couple of days a year, I'm okay with it, but beyond that, not me. And there are plenty of people like that. It's not your thing, God bless. If shul is not your thing, where, oh where will you get your people? Because it's not people who need people who are the luckiest people in the world. It is people who have people are the luckiest people in the world, which means the second P, the question I want you to walk away with is, where am I going to get my people? Here's the third P. And the third P is the hardest. And the third P is the most important. And the third P is universal. Moses has to make peace with his pain. Moses has a lot of pain that just is. Pain that just is a special genre of pain. Let's just double click here. Pain that just is. Pain that just is, you can't solve. Pain that just is, you can't make go away. Pain that it just is, there's no medication. Pain that just is, you have to live with. And the question is, can both of these things be true? I have pain that just is, and it's real, and it hurts, and I am not going to let it derail my life. I am going to live. And Moses has this pain. He doesn't get nachas from his sons. His wife and he are estranged. His brother betrays him. His sister betrays him. God doesn't let him cross over the river Jordan after 40 years to enter the land. He dies on the wrong side of the river Jordan. So how does Moses make peace with his pain that just is? And the answer is, he thinks about not Moses. He thinks about beyond Moses. He thinks about larger than Moses. He thinks about helping somebody else, in his case, helping the Israelites work on their covenant with God. The best way for us to make peace with our pain that just is to help somebody else with theirs. So there's just a lovely, lovely, beautiful human being. So remember this, Shmuel, who worked until he was 80 years old. And he worked in financial services. And he was old school. He went to the office 5 days a week for 56 years. And serving his clients was everything. And then at the age of 80, there was no more office to go to, and there were no more clients to serve. And now he's 80 and too much time, which is a problem. And now he's 80, and where am I going to get my purpose? And now he's 80, and where am I going to get good stress? So at the age of 80, he tries something entirely new, a new venue, a new move, never did it before. He goes to Dana-Farber, and he delivers magazines and newspapers to patients, including patients who are getting chemotherapy. But it's not just magazines and newspapers. It's magazines and newspapers and a smile and sunshine and warmth and love. He had the most beautiful smile in the world. He had the richest hug in the world. He was the most generous person in the world. And in fact, he had this bowl of business cards because, of course, Dana-Farber gets patients from all 50 states, and Dana-Farber gets patients from all over the world. And all these people to whom he gave magazines and newspapers and sunshine and love said, if you are ever in my city, I want to take you out for dinner to thank you. This summer, shortly before he passed away, we're talking about the things in his life that made him so happy and made him so proud as he was in what we knew was his last days. And he said, I just loved working at Dana-Farber and thinking about what it felt like to help somebody else. He said, life is just such a wonderful thing. And he passed away just a few days thereafter. So here we are in a holiday which is all about life. And our big hero, Moses, lives a beautiful life of 120 years, robust until the end. And if we want the Moses package, there's stuff we can do. The 3 Ps. Make sure we have a purpose every day. Make sure we have good stress that brings out our best every day. Make sure we have people every day and we're deepening these relationships with people. Make peace with our pain by helping other people with their pain. Of course, there's no guarantees. But even if these 3 Ps don't guarantee years, they enhance our days. What we do now really matters. Uvacharta b'chaim. Choose life.